Hey Shelby, today what you're going to be doing is you're going to take these equations, you're going to be solving them, but the problem is, here's a big problem. You're not doing the same thing on every one. You're not even going to use the t-chart on every one, okay? Now what we need to do is find the two answers for x. We know there's two because we got this second power right here, okay? That tells me there's two answers. Okay, now with that in mind, what I need to do is decide if I have two terms or three terms. So I've got negative 3x squared and I've got 30x, so that's two terms. So that's two terms I'm trying to factor, and we have our zero. That's not going to be an issue today, okay? We'll have the zero. If there's not, we got to do something else, but on this assignment, zero is always going to be there for us. So two terms. So what I do when there's two terms is I do my GCF. I simply make the space times the parentheses and put equals 0 after it. So I'm going to go for a greatest common factor. So we have the negative in front, negative's there, so negative. We also got x squared and x, okay, so we're going to put x right there. And then I take 3 and 30, of course, so 3, factors of 3, so, and remember that's just dividing 1 and 3. 3 divided by 2 is a decimal, okay? And then I come to 3. So pretty much we got just 1 and 3 to pick from. So what I want to do is see if these divide by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and then 30 divided by 3 is 10. Okay, so 3 is a winner, so 3. So I'm going to pull out negative 3x, and then I need to go, because that's my GCF, negative 3x, and then I divide by negative 3x. Okay, so negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. Then x squared divided by x is x. And then I take 30 divided by negative 3, and that's negative 10. So I'm going to put minus 10. And then x divided by x just cancels. Okay, so we have negative 3x times 1x plus 10. So negative 3x is factor number 1, and 1x minus 10 is factor number 2. So now I'm ready to solve, now that I pulled it apart enough. So the factor of negative 3x can equal 0, or the factor of 1x minus 10 can equal 0. Okay, so I'm going to box up negative 3x, so I divide by negative 3, and I get 0 for my first answer. And then plus 10 and plus 10, 1x equals 10. Okay, and then I don't need to divide by 1, that's just my answer, 0 and 10. Okay, my next problem. Put a 1 there, and we got two answers, but this time there's 1, 2, 3 terms. So we have 3 terms this time. Okay, on ones where you have 3 terms, we're not going to worry about a GCF. Okay, now eventually we're going to have to worry about a GCF with 3 terms, but not on this assignment here. And the reason why is because I don't have a negative, no negative. I don't have x on everything, and 1's my smallest number, so there is no GCF on any of these. Okay, so I make my chart, and I go A, B, C. Okay. So I take 1, A times C, 1 times negative 24, and that's going to be negative 24, so we're going to look for a difference. And that difference we want to equal 2. Okay, so 1 and 24, 24 minus 1 is not 2 though. Okay, so 24 divided by 2, so 2 and 12. So 12 minus 2 is not 2. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So 8 minus 3 is not 2. 24 divided by 4, so 4. and 6. Okay, and 6 minus 4 is 2. Okay, so there we have it. Okay, so what I do is I make my two parentheses, but I am going to put equals 0. So 1x squared is x and x, and then 4 and 6. Okay, so I have minus 2, so we're going to have minus 6. And difference means this difference, so anytime I have a difference, we have to have opposite signs. Okay, opposite signs. So we have minus here, so that's got to be plus. Okay, so now to get my answers, I have factor 1 and factor 2. So factor 1 means that x plus 4 equals 0. Factor 2 means that x minus 6 equals 0. So I'm going to put a 1x and then minus 4 minus 4. So 1x equals negative 4. Okay, so I have negative 4. And then I plus 6 and plus 6, 1x equals 6, and then I have 6 for my answer. So those two answers right there. By the way, don't count on getting the assignment done today. Okay, this is probably going to be a 2-day at least. Okay, this one here, again, two answers. This one here, we're back to 1, 2, so 2 terms. So if there's 2 terms, we go to this. So GCF, do I have a negative in front? Sure I do. I also have X on everything, so X. And then I've got 14 and 16, so let's look at 14. So we got 1 and 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7, so 2, 7. Divided by 3 is decimal. 14 divided by 4, decimal. 14 divided by 5, decimal. 14 divided by 6, decimal. And then I come back to 7, so I'm done. Okay, so 14, let's see. So 14 divided by 14 is 1. 16 divided by 14 is a decimal, so 14 will not work. Okay, now let's try 7, okay? 14 divided by 7, decimal. 16 divided by 7, decimal. So 7, it doesn't work, okay? We got to try 2. So 14 divided by 2 is 7, and then 16 divided by 2 is 8. So sweet, 2 works, okay? So negative 2x, I pull that out, and then I divide by negative 2x. So negative 14 divided by negative 2 is 7. So that's going to be 7, and then that's always x. 16 divided by negative 2 is negative 8, so minus 8. Those cancel. Okay, so I have factor 1, factor 2. So factor 1, you got negative 2x equals 0. Factor 2, 7x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, so I don't have anything, I just divide by the negative 2, and that's 0. Then I add 8 and add 8, so 7 times x equals 8, and then I divide by 7, and I'm going to take 8 divided by 7. That's going to be 1.14. Just round your decimals off. That's okay if you get them. Okay, next one, there's 2 answers, but this has 1, 2, 3 terms, so 3 terms. 3 terms we're going to make the chart, so A, B, C. So I take A times C, so I'm going to be taking 1 times 24. 24, this time it's positive, so I'm going to look for a sum that equals 11. So 124, but 1 plus 24 is not 11. 2 and 12. 2 plus 12 is not 11. 3 and 8. 3 plus 8 is 11. Good. Okay, so A is so I go to the 2 parentheses, but I do need to remember to put equals 0. So that's x, and then 3 and 8. So I have the minus sign there, so I need to have minus 8 for sure. And a sum means the signs are the same. Okay, so if that's minus, then I got to be minus as well. So that's factor 1, and that's factor 2. So factor 1, x minus 3 equals 0. Factor 2, x minus 8 equals 0. So I plus 3, 1x equals 3. Plus 8, 1x equals 8. So 3 and 8 are the two answers. Okay, I'm just going to keep going here. We got two answers. 1, 2. So there's two terms. You got to get in the habit of counting your terms. So two terms, because counting the terms tells me how I'm going to do the problem. So GCF, greatest common factor. I don't have a negative. I do have x on both. So 40 and 20, let's go with 20. So 1 and 20. Sorry, 120. 20 divided by 2 is 10, so 2 and 10. 20 divided by 3 decimal. 20 divided by 4 is 5, so 4 or 5. After 4, I just come back to 5, so I'm done. We already have 5. Okay, so let's try 20. So 40 divided by 20 is 2. 20 divided by 20 is 1. Okay, so 20 works. Okay, so I'm going to put 20x, and then I'm going to divide by 20x, 20x. So that's 2, and then x, that's a negative, okay? So negative 20 divided by 20 is negative 1. So if you get negative 1, just get in the habit of putting minus 1. And then those x's go away. Okay, so that's factor 1 and that's factor 2. So factor 1, we have 20x equals 0. And then factor 2, 2 times x minus 1 equals 0. So I box up 20 times x equals 0. So I divide by 20 and I get 0. Then I plus 1, 2 times x equals 1. Then I divide by 2. Okay. So 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. It's half. Okay, next problem. There's two answers. So there's 3 terms. Alright, so chart A, B, C. So I'm going to take A times C, and that's 1 times negative 54. So that's negative 54, so negative, so it's a difference. And that difference needs to equal 3. So 1 and 54. 54 minus 1 is not 3. 54 divided by 2 is 27, so 2 and 27. 27 minus 2 is not 3. 3 and 18. 18 minus 3 is not 3 though. Decimal, decimal, and then I get 6 and 9, so 6 and 9. And 9 minus 6 is 3, so it's 6 and 9. So x, 6, 9. Okay, so plus, so we have plus on 9, and difference means signs are opposite. So plus and then minus. Okay, so x minus 6 equals 0 and x plus 9 equals 0. So because that's factor 1 and that's factor 2. So 1x equals 6. So minus 9, 1x equals negative 9. So I get 6 and negative 9 for answers. Okay, next problem. Negative 15x to the second power plus 45x. So there's two answers. Now this one we're back to just two terms, so I need to do the GCF box. So GCF. I have a negative in front. I got x on each. Then I got 15 and 45, so 15, so 1 and 15. Decimal, 3 and 5. 15 divided by 4 is a decimal, and then I just come back to 5, so I'm done. So let's check out 15. Okay, so 15. So 15 divided by 15 is 1, and 45 divided by 15 is 3. So 15 works. So negative 15x, so negative 15x, and negative 15x. So negative 15 divided by negative 15 is 1. So that's x, and then 45 divided by negative 15 is negative 3, so I put minus 3. Okay, so that's factor 1, and that's factor 2. So negative 15 times x equals 0, or 1x minus 3 equals 0. So divide by negative 15, I get 0. Plus 3, I get 3. Okay, next problem. There's two answers. This time there's 1, 2, 3 terms. So 3 terms. I go to my t. So I take a times c, so that's going to be 1 times 35. That's 35 positive. Okay, so sum needs to equal 12. 1 plus 35, remember sum means you add. Difference means you subtract, but 1 plus 35 is not 12. Decimal, decimal, decimal. Okay, 5 and 7. Is 5 plus 7 12, is it? Yep, okay. So x, and then 5 and 7. So I have plus 12, so plus 7, and then a sum. Signs are the same. Okay, so plus and plus. So x plus, that's factor 1, that's factor 2. So x plus 5 equals 0, x plus 7 equals 0. So I minus 5, and I get negative 5 for my first answer. Minus 7, I get negative 7. Okay, that's really all I had to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you next time.